freakish by nature, I'm overdue. Weakness and hatred, I'm over you.
Righto, welcome back to Killing It 4x4. This is now day number 4. We have since missed a day. Didn't really work on this thing yesterday afternoon. Had a few personal things go down. I'll let you guys assume that is my toolbox over there. So we've got all the tools we need in the shed now, and I've got all the time in the world to work on this thing now. However, we've still got until Tuesday to get this thing done. There's Georgia there in the background. She's giving me a hand to get this thing done. We are same place where we left off. We've got the spindles all done, as in like ball joints, everything's ready to go. I've got to clean and repack the hubs, put the hubs back on with the new rotors. Then we will get into doing the airbox, which, come to think of it, I've actually got to make that template up now because I've got to get the steel joint before 12 o'clock when they shut. So we have got to make an airbox that's going to fit our pod filter in this little corner here, which in theory shouldn't be too hard, but in practice it's always a fucking snowball job. But anyway, we're going to get hooked into that and I'll record wherever we can.
She's so complacent, and when I said I wasn't sober, you know I meant it. Yeah, I did, because I'm freakish by nature, I'm overdue. Weakness and hatred, I'm over you. Said I want your love, said I wanted it bad. Said I wanted your touch, best thing I ever had. Freakish by nature, I'm overdue. Weakness and hatred, I'm over you. Said I wanted your love, said I wanted it bad.
So I finished toying around with the template and I started to make a few little cutouts of stainless steel to make our airbox. I was doing it with lift TIG. I tried to tack 2 sheets together and it just gave me nothing but hassle. So I've reached out to a mate to see if he will come out and do some TIGging for me just so I can get this thing done. I just don't think that lift TIG's for me. Maybe I'll buy a TIG welder one day, but anyway, that's down the track. Now, I've put the manifold and the turbo back on. I've added a little bit of gasket goo because I couldn't actually get a new gasket until Monday, and that was like an if. So I've just got some gasket goo for now, which should be fine. The manifold's been machined, so we should be absolutely perfectly fine there. Now, what I'm going to move on to next is repacking our hubs, putting our hubs back on so the front will be done and we can put the front back on the ground. Then I'm going to fix this little bit of the intercooler piping here so it doesn't come up and look so stupid. Once I've finished that, I'm going to pull this side intercooler piping out and this side intercooler piping out so we can paint it so it looks half decent, not like this shit where it just flakes straight off. Actually, that wasn't flaked off, that was hit off by the gurney. So, but anyway, that's what we're going to get into next. I also went to do a MIG with the welder and realised I'm completely out of gas. Yeah, I don't know if I left this on or whatever, but we're out of gas. We'll worry about that later. Righto, so it's now day 5. We didn't get much done yesterday. We went to use the TIG on the airbox, failed fucking miserably, so we didn't get much done there at all. Then we went to use the MIG to do the exhaust, and there's no gas in the MIG either. Declan's going to come around. He's done the intake for the big Rodeo. He's going to come around and weld up the airbox for us. Then we're going to put all the front hubs back together and do the rear brakes and then gearbox in tomorrow. So it is now Sunday. We've got 2 full days to get this thing done, and then it's off to Ballina.
Said I wanted your love, said I wanted it bad.
So when it comes to packing and cleaning bearings, your best bet is to use a pressure washer. A hot pressure washer works the best. If you don't have access to that, you can just use a kerosene parts cleaner with a brush. Or if you're absolutely pobo pack, just use a brake cleaner and a brush and clean it out that way. Every way will work. but it's just what one's more time consuming and more expensive on materials. And pretty much in that little lip in there, you want to fill it so it's level with the two bearing caps. You can be a little bit underneath, but this grease will never get used by the bearings. It's just good practice to put the grease in there. So yeah, it's level with the races or bearing cups, whatever you want to call them. So now Georgia's going to pack her bearing, and her bearing's ready to go straight into the hub, so she doesn't need to worry about having a rag out ready to go. Now I'm packing the outer bearing, which can't be put in the hub until the hub is on the car. So I'll get my hub out of the way and get a fresh rag, sit it down, preferably don't sit it in brake clean or anything. I'm not too fucking bothered at the moment. So you're gonna put one on your finger, whatever hand you want to do, whatever. This is just the way I like to do it. There's 1,001 ways to do it. You can use a grease sniffer, whatever. Doesn't really fucking matter. As long as you pack it. So pretty much we're gonna get our bearing, sit it on our finger. We're gonna get about yay much grease on our other two fingers. Right now you're gonna sit it on your palm. Yep, like that. Right, so once you sit it on your palm like that, you're gonna grab your other bearing. Yep, grab it with that hand, like this. Right, and now what you're going to do is you're going to, with this lip on the rim of the bearing just here, you're going to scrape that down like this. Right, you'll know that you're doing the right thing when you start seeing the little bubbles of grease coming up through the bearing. That's how you know you're packing it right. So like I said before, have your rag ready to go. Fold it up in the rag because you're not going to be able to use that bearing until your hub's ready to go back on. So it's now day 6. We had a complete fuck over yesterday. We didn't get much done at all. Wheel studs on the front were completely fucked. Nowhere has them. So I've resorted to salvaging some from the leftover parts from the big Rodeo's IFS setup. And then we're just going to buy some nuts from Super Cheap. Some of their flash chrome nuts, because that's all we can really get. We're taking the flywheel in now. We get the flywheel done. Then we're going to Super Cheap to get our wheel nuts. Then while we're waiting for the flywheel to get done, we'll get the front end finished. It's just been a complete shit show. The last 3 days we haven't done much work. I've been in a foul mood because we haven't got much work done, so I didn't do much recording. Georgia was just doing time lapses for me and all that good stuff, being a good camera woman. But yeah, so I'm going to try and keep the recording up today. We've rescheduled engineering for Thursday, so we've given ourselves a little bit more time. So we're back at the shed. I've got my spare hubs here. We're going to tap the wheel studs out of these and clean them up in the vise. So we've actually got some wheel studs to use, because nowhere, not Burson's, not Repco, not Super Cheap, no tyre places can get these in time for the rescheduled engineering, which is on Thursday. We went and got some wheel nuts from Super Cheap as well, which will be able to dress over these quite nicely. Guys here giving us a hand. He's going to pull that back apart so we can get those wheel studs out. I'm going to focus on getting the wheel studs out of these hubs and cleaning them up in the vise, then we can put the whole front end back together. Front end will be done this afternoon. Gearbox is going back in with a new clutch, and yeah.
Said I wanted your touch, best thing I ever had. Freakish by nature, I'm overdue. Weakness and hatred, I'm over you. Said I wanted your love, said I wanted it bad. Said I wanted your touch, best thing I ever had. Barely wipe the window panes when I drive. Swear it's late, I can't escape my own mind. Already knew you'd be seeing me for one night. You and me were meant to be, it's alright.
Righto, so what I'm doing now is going to set our bearing. So pretty much when you're looking at your bearing nut, you want to inspect for any wear marks like this. So pretty much, I don't know if I can get that to focus. See, I've got a wear mark there It's not good. You should probably be replacing this, but again, like I've said throughout the video and the last part, we've got a deadline to meet, so we can't replace this thing. So we're going to jam this on. There's 1,050 different ways to set your bearing. Guy just did his way. I'm going to do mine my way. At the end of the day,
See which one breaks first.
see which wheel falls off first. At the end of the day, there's two criteria you need to meet when you're setting a bearing. Pretty much when you spin the wheel should come to a slow stop. It should slowly come around and stop like this. It shouldn't come around and just instantly stop. It should slowly stop, and even actually it'll look like it wants to continue rolling, sort of thing. That's one criteria you need to meet, as well as you shouldn't have any bearing play. And if you have some, it should be absolutely fucking minute. Mildly loose wheel bearing is better than a mildly tight wheel bearing. Tight wheel bearings generally get hot, and you'll burn the grease out, then the bearings will burn out, and then the fucking hub will fall off and it'll fuck everything. A loose wheel bearing will also slowly cause the bearings to wear out as well, and also cause just as much damage, just generally won't happen as quick. So, you want to have a tool for this. Buy tools for this. You can get away with not using a tool, but if you're gonna bash that fucking bash, by the way. Right. Yeah, you can get away with it, but realistically, you want to have a tool so you can set it properly. Now, I don't have a tool for this, so I'm going to set it a different way to what I normally do. But pretty much, if you've got a tool and you've got a ratchet, you want to wind it all the way on, so it's reasonably tight. And by reasonably tight, I mean like actually give it a little bit. Then you want to back your wheel bearing nut off, so your wheel bearing nut's loose, not so your hub's loose, just so your wheel bearing nut's loose. Then you want to set the weight of the ratchet, give it a little bit of a nip, and then you want to check your wheel bearing free play. So that's, like I said before, you want to see that it stops nicely, and you want to feel up and down, see if you've got any free travel.
I'm not making any vapes. It's not strawberry water.
That is the most male thing to ever say, like a bloke thing.
What?
At least I'm not sucking on something that tastes nice.
Well, there's that.
Every bloke's the same with their beer. Hey, you fucking fellas drinking lolly water. Be a real man. Drink something that tastes like shit all the time.
Yeah, fuck it, eh?
Be a real man. Don't suck on a fucking vape. Suck on cigarettes that taste like fucking tar. Be a man.
Be a man.
I'm gonna have to cut that out.
Oh, not even still recording.
Righto, so we have made fucking really good progress. We ended up getting some wheel studs off my old hubs from that big girl when she was IFS. So we pulled the studs off then. I'm going to put them into a parts pile, so I've got some spare parts. I might sell them, so if anyone's looking for any hubs or any spindles for a TF Rodeo, anything from from 88 to 2002 will fit. I've got a whole bunch of spare parts here and drive shafts and whatever, so just let us know what you need down below. Now, along with that, the front is completely finished. We've just got to bleed the brakes. We're going to leave that until we get the rear done. So bleed the brakes, put the wheels back on, but at least the front is done. New pads are in, new rotors are on, new ball joints are in. Bearings have been cleaned and repacked. Haven't got the shocks done. I'm going to have to see about financial situations about getting the shocks done, because they are fucked, but they're also like $400, so I want to try and avoid having to do that. Jai's getting cracked into the rear now. He's also receiving a phone call. So Jai's just finishing on this side with the brakes. So that's put us quite a bit ahead. So it's now 1 o'clock on the Monday. We've got until Thursday to have this thing done, and we are so far kicking goals. Wheels are ready to go back on. New wheel cylinders are in the back. Couldn't use the new shoes. New shoes were wrong. Surprise, surprise. So going to take those back along with all the axle seals that I've got to take back. So yeah, we're going to have a quick tidy up of the workshop so we know where everything's up to, and we don't have to go fishing for tools that we don't have because they're lying around somewhere. But yeah, we're on on the halfway point, I reckon. Then we've got to get the intercooler sorted, the airbox sorted, taco sorted, and obviously we've got to put our gearbox back in. So there we go. Brakes are all done. Brakes are bled. Just got to slap the wheels back on. And then that is that section of the car finished. We've got a new gearbox there. We've got to clean up the input shaft a little bit and clean up the output. There's a little bit of mud in there. The output shaft seal will probably leak, but that's something I can fix at a later date, as everywhere is shut. Declan's just come and picked up the airbox. So now I'm just mocking up these pipes to see how they are going to run. So I'm going to have to get a 90 and another 90. And then I've got a little bit of a 45 to go into the airbox there. So we're just about to put this clutch in and the flywheel. Once we do that, we're going to chuck this gearbox in and they're almost done.
Barely wipe the window panes when I drive. Swear it's late, I can't escape my own mind. Already knew you'd be seeing me for one night. You and me were meant to be, it's alright.
And just like that, thanks to Jai and the brother-in-law Jacob, this thing is just about done. So we've got all our wheels on. You guys would have just seen in the time lapse that we've got the flywheel in. Gearbox is ready to go in. We've just got to get a new release bearing because the clutch kit came with a release bearing, but it's absolute fucking completely wrong. It's supposed to look like that. It looks like that. Anyway, that's Clutch Industries. We've got intercooler piping getting done. So that's got to go from here to the turbo, which will be sweet. Got to do our intake piping. The airbox is done. Declan got that smashed out for us literally this afternoon, like 2 hours. You guys will be able to see that very soon. So yeah, we're all but done, but just a little bit more to go. Gearbox back in, and then I might have to chuck another muffler in this thing just to pass engineering. So yeah, but anyway, depending on how much footage I've got over the past couple of days, this is probably going to be another episode. So thanks for sticking around and watching again. We got a fair bit of attention on the last video. I'm also really appreciative for that. So if you like this sort of shit, chuck us a like, chuck us a subscribe, chuck your notifications on. Helps me out a little bit because then you guys can see when I'm actually posting, because otherwise we sink in the algorithm. So yeah, don't forget, check up on your mates. 13, 11, 14, they're professionals. They know exactly what they're talking about. You know, seeking help, it's not weak. Like, everyone needs a bit of a hand every now and again, whether you're as tough as nails or you're the softest bloke anyone knows. Reaching out is the bravest thing you can do, and it's the best thing you can do for yourself. So anyway, Cobbs, cheers for checking in, and we'll see you guys in the next one.